Hello everyone, this is Sonic Goon here for, another Draft League season. This time it's Cascade Draft League Season 9. I'm Sonic Goon, coach of the Lansdowne Guzzlords. Um, so for this draft, I actually had 8th pick overall, which, if you ask me even a gen ago, that's one of the worst picks to have, just because there were so few round 1, round 2 must-haves, even in C move leagues, um, that being in the middle just meant that you're not going to get a good core or anything usable, basically. You're not going to get the best mons right at the bat. You're just going to get not so great, but still better than what people are going to get 16th pick, but 16th pick, they also get 17th pick, then they can get a core from that, which is amazing. Well, I can't. However, in Gen 8, a lot of Pokemon got buffed. So the list of round 1, round 2 must-have Pokemon has skyrocketed to the point where no matter what pick you have, you're going to end up with a pretty good team if you know what you're doing in terms of draft. Um, However, the Pokemon I got for my 8th pick, I did not expect at all. And that's a Mew. Or Cat Jam, notable moves. Yes, this mon can do everything. It's the most splashable Pokemon in draft currently. The only thing it can't actually really do is wall break, but I mean, it doesn't really need to do that when you could just draft a wall breaker alongside of it. This thing can fill into any role that you just don't have on your team and do it pretty damn well. Base 100 stats across the board makes it annoying to prep for. Having literally every single move that's the TMTR is hell to deal with. Thank God this thing didn't also learn Sketch, because then it'll be super over. It'd learn every single freaking move. But it still wouldn't be able to use Dark Void. But yeah, Mew's really freaking good, and I'm surprised it got an 8th pick, because a lot of people consider it top 5 in the game for draft currently, just because of how versatile it is, and you can't really prep for it. So I decided to follow this up with another mon that's very, very splashable, just to have ultimate splash on my team, and that's Aurora. Aurora is kind of like the offensive version of Mew, where it doesn't really get to do all the defensive stuff, but now it can wall break and do pretty much setup or wall break potential, either physical or special. It has that similar kind of, I don't know what the hell this thing's gonna do. Obviously, it's a bit more streamlined because it's electric type with electric coverage, so, Plasma Fists. Thankfully, this is a cut moves allowed league, so it does have HP Ice to deal with those pesky ground flyings that basically wall it otherwise. It also is just a pretty good move pool overall, just because it has Grass Knot, so it can deal with those water grounds that also wall it pretty hard. It also has Knock, Vault, Switch, CC, and Plasma Fist just for stab and good physical coverage. Not to mention it also has like Bulk Up and Calm Mind. So this is the Pokemon that Raikou wished it was until this generation when Raikou got Scald, and now I think Raikou actually has a bit more of a specific niche and has reasons to draft over Zeraora now. Thing is, this mon is very still, even though it does have the cover to deal with grounds, it doesn't want to have to run that coverage sometimes, so I really need a Pokemon that's dedicated to removing grounds from the game. So who better than Elotran Undertale, or excuse me, Elotran Bug Fables. This Pokemon's really, really, really strong. It's known for being a threat. Thankfully, Protean and Ash form are banned, because this spawn's really, really strong. It can wall break, it can set up spikes and U-turn. In fact, it can do literally all of that in one set. This bond's ridiculously good. It has priority in Water Shuriken. In fact, that's its signature move. And, just it also has T-Spikes. I didn't actually know this until I drafted it. I just thought it only got Spikes, but it has both the Spikes, which is great. And it actually does have a pretty surprisingly wide move pool, but, like, Water Dark is such a good offensive coverage that I don't really expect myself to run more than just like Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, and 2 other moves. Probably Spikes, U-Turn, or Water Shuriken that fits in the last spots, or even Scald. I really wanted something else to kind of just be fast and hit hard, because I really like the speed tiers that I'm covering right now. So next I got Lycan Rock Dusk. This mon's dumb. Dumb strong, dumb everything. It looks dumb. It's literally just like Rock Midday but orange. That's about it. It's stupidly strong with Tough Claws boosted everything. And then it has Edge Quake with Stone Edge and Drill Run. Play Rough, Close Combat, Fire Fang, Thunder Fang. What else does it have? It has a decent coverage. Crunch. Like, all these are just boosted by Tough Claws because they're all contact moves other than Stone Edge, but Stone Edge doesn't need boost with Stab. So this is basically just bootleg Terrakion. And I'd rather go for this just instead of Terrakion because I think Terrakion was on the board on this pick for me. But I'd rather go for this just to conserve points, and I basically just get a slightly worse close combat spammer for a better everything else spammer. It also has Stab as Cell Rock, so, you know, nice rock priority to that's always really good to have, especially against like things like Frostmoth or Volcarona, so I don't really just instantly lose to them or have outs if they get up a bunch of Quiver Dances in my face. Next, I was just like, man, I really want to start, you know, completing the Fire, Water, Grass core, or even like just get a good Fire type, because Fire is something I tend to avoid drafting if I don't get it this early, and I kind of really want to get it now because not having Fire just hurts so bad. So I was looking at 3 different Pokemon: Chandelure, Arcanine, and Darmanitan, and 3 rounds before me, Arcanine got picked, and then the round before me, or the pick before me, Chandelure got picked, so I was left with Darmanitan. This is not a bad thing to have because it's literally just a coin, or not even a coin flip, like a dice roll for either of those 3. So why does Gritty fit into this team? 1, it's Gritty. 2, it's Gritty. 3, notable moves. It has his Pain. 140 attack stat on sheer force boosted Flare Blitz. Things that resist this don't want to take it. 95 speed's really great, so now I don't really have to worry about any like mons that are slower than me, you know, just being able to tank hits and deal crap loads of damage, because I need to start spreading out my speed. And this is a very brainless mon, and I like having brainless Pokemon. This, other than if it's not clicking Flare Blitz, I'm probably using it incorrectly. And also it's like belly drum sets, so like the setup sets just makes it even more absurd, and I don't even have to run Flare Blitz on those. I could just run straight up Fire Punch and still get like similar damage. But now, like, looking at this draft, I'm like, man, I'm really top heavy on speed and damage, and I need something slow. Need like a pivot mon to pair well with Mew, basically all the pivot mons that I have on my team. So I decided to get the slow pivot with Dragalge. Flip Turn is amazing. I love that move. I love pretty much any pivot moves in the game. And also has Toxic Spike, so I have another Toxic Spike setter alongside Mew and Greninja, but this one's actually more of a dedicated Toxic Spike setter. Poison Dragon's actually a really good type, especially paired up with that adaptability. So literally the only Pokemon that wants to switch on this are Steel types. But if I click like Flip Turn on that team, turn you switch in your Steel type. Now I get in Darmanitan and get to click Flare Blitz, and no Steel type wants to take that. Or I can go into Gren and click Hydro Pump or something. Like, there's so many options I already have on my team to deal with that Steel type that I don't really care about. It's one weakness of Steel. Even then, it doesn't really have much of a weakness of Steel because it does have Focus Blast and Hydro Pump. So I don't really care about your Steel types switching in on me because I just have Flip Turn. Fairies aren't really a big issue against this thing because sure, they're going to come in to try to take that Draco Meteor and get adaptability, Sludge Wave, and die. I don't even think Clef does not take that at all. And just having a slow pivot is really nice. I probably said that like 5 times, but it is really nice. Slow pivots are the wave. Hop on it. Next I realized, man, I really need to get a Steel type too. My team does not have one. I usually draft those pretty early. So it was either Mega Licks or regular Licks. If you know what I'm saying, it's Steel Licks. But I felt like I was getting way too points like low, like my points are really low, so my team would just be super top heavy and then just shit tier 5s. I did not want that, so I opted to go for Mega Licks to gain some points back. Since it's a lower tier, I got more points back to draft with. It's basically just regular licks, but I can't really run an item. I don't really care about running an item on this thing, because its resistances are amazing. It's immune to 2 types, quad resist rock, resists like 7 more types. It's so amazing. Its defense stat is also just insanely high. 230 is ridiculously strong, especially when it has body press, so I don't have to worry about running offensive investment to hit things hard. Still has options like Gyro Ball to deal with monsters super fast that would otherwise want to like sit there and just set up or do anything in front of it. Also, I definitely needed a dedicated rocker. Lycan Rock can run rocks, but I'd rather not be forced into doing that when I needed to. I can also just run Steelix if I need a rocker. It's not like it's taking a lot of damage. Only issue that this mon has is it doesn't really have much sustain. Definitely would appreciate some sort of recovery move or something, but unfortunately not every single Pokemon can get those. So now that I'm looking, so at this point in the draft I was looking at my team, like, man, my team is super spaced out. There's a huge speed gap between Darmanitan and Dragalge that I really need to fix, because that is like 51 speed between these two. So decided to start patching it up. Next is Braviary, Consume. I needed Defogger, I needed ground immunity, because if you look at my team, Dragalge, Steelix, Darm, Lycan Rock, and Zera are all weak to ground really badly. In fact, the only one that would actually want to take an EQ is Steelix. So really I only have 4 ground weaknesses. So I really need to get ground immunities. I also really need to fix these speed tiers. Base 80 speeds is fantastic. It also has 2 great abilities in Defiant and Sheer Force. So I have another Sheer Force abuser on my team, but this one doesn't do it as well because the only move it really has that abuses is Rock Slide, and I'd rather just have the flinch chance at this point. Normal flying is really good, so I can avoid those ghosts, but also avoid those grounds. And Defiant's a great ability to, so if someone just is switching in their Intimidate users willy-nilly, I can punish that. If someone's just defogging, I can punish that as well. This kind of just allows me to hazard stack in peace, because my team's very hazard stacky. Next, I decided to get Duck into Cloud, because this month's another stupid physical breaker. Banded Surfetch 2-hit KOs like pretty much everything unless you quad resist it, and even then it has the coverage to probably deal with those quad resistance. It has defog, but I'm pretty sure I'm never going to really be using it all that often, because why would you go for defog when you just go for raw damage? Like, Darmanitan's known for doing stupid damage. This mon does even more, and it can't even get intimidated. Like, Scrappy is... Why'd they buff Scrappy like that? It didn't need it. But, yeah. Base 65 speed's nice. So now I have just, pretty decent speed tiers between Darm and Dragalge now. But I still want to patch it up a little bit better. I have the removal I really need, and I have the pain I really need. So next I decided to grab Decidueye just to finish up patching that gap up with 70 base 70 speed Defogger. It also has U-turn, so I have another U-turn abuser. Being immune to normal is great because there's some normal types that just really go off. Also resist another ground resist. I really need this. Yeah. It's also good Scald switch in, which I kind of felt like I needed, because other than that, my only Scald switch-ins were like Dragalge, and that was it. And maybe Mew, because Mew doesn't really care about being burned unless I'm running physical Mew. But since this is a 107 attack, 100 base special attack, this mon can run either physical or special, and I appreciate its versatility there, so it kind of complements the Mew's Aurora that I had before. You know, U-turn's actually really good here, because now I can kind of run this as a slow pivot. Not really slow, but kind of slow. So yeah, I think Decidueye works really well in just covering a lot of the type weaknesses that I have, while offering enough utility to the team that, and while not being passive as well. And finally, with my last pick, I pick Yum-Ta, the Guildmaster, the GOAT. Like, I love wigglytuff. This mon's stupid. It's just funny. I love this thing. A lot of people say this mon's ass, and they're right. That's why it's a tier 5. But it's not the worst tier 5 out there. It has a lot of good niches, and having Wish TP and Stealth Rock. Thing is that it's not really a good TP abuser because it has defenses of literal balloon, because it is a balloon. So it's really good at Wish though, because base 140 HP Wishes are amazing to have. Stealth Rock is great to just set up more rocks, so I have another rock user. Normal Fairy is actually pretty decent typing overall. I'm only really weak to Poison and Steel on this mon, so I'm not really going to die from anything, so I'm going to be able to get that Wish off. Because I have so many good Steel switch-ins, I have so many good Poison switch-ins, I don't really care about those weaknesses. I don't expect this mon to really come in that much, unless I really need that Wish support. But overall, I think that this mon's fine. Competitive and Frisk are great abilities. Competitive is great just because things click defog in my face, so I get +2 special attack, and now my base 85 special attack is gonna hurt. Sadly, it does not get Moonblast. It only has Dazzling Gleam, which is a problem because that 15 base power differential actually really matters. It also has Frisk, which is great for scouting. Underrated ability. That's why Pokemon like Noivern are amazing. But unfortunately, unlike Noivern, this mon is slow as bricks. And that's something I'm just going to have to deal with. But it's a tier 5. Who cares? So just a look at my draft overall. I'm super ground weak. Still, even though I try to patch up with the last few picks. Aurora, Lycan Rock Dust, Darmanitan, Dragalge, Steelix are all weak to ground. And my only answers are Decidueye and Braviary. Braviary is not a consistent switch-in because a lot of ground types and even ground types have Stone Edge. So it's weak to Stone Edge, so it's not really a switch-in. And Decidueye isn't the most physically bulky, so my Earthquake switch-ins are very low. But however, I do think my team kind of deals with grounds offensively pretty well. Gren kind of punches holes through them. Decidueyes can punch holes through them. No ground type in the world wants to take a close combat from Surfetched, even if it's like a Hippowdon. You have to be Gliscor or Lando or Gligar to take one. But none of those want to really take a knockoff because losing their item would severely cripple them, and they're not really all that strong anyway. They won't kill Surfetched in one hit. So I don't really care about grounds. Yeah, another problem I noticed after I drafted this is that my defog is the only thing I can use to remove hazards. I have no rapid spinner, and that's actually really bad for Defiant or competitive users. However, I have 2 of them, and the only other notable one is the only notable ones are Milotic and Bisharp, and I have ways of dealing with Bisharp on this team. And Milotic never runs competitive in singles. It's usually a doubles only ability just to counteract the Intimidate that's spammed in that format. But this is the most crippling flaw, and I think as my team doesn't really have much of a defensive backbone. I'm very, very offensive, so my games are not going to last very long. I'm going to be having to punch holes through everyone's teams very quickly and hope that I win. Because other than that, then I'm just going to straight up lose. But, I do have strengths on my team. I have a lot of ways to just beat your team down. So if I can break your walls fast enough, then you're just screwed against me. So yeah. So as I'm recording this, week 1 already happened. So that video will probably be out sooner or later. Sorry for the huge gap. It's just been pretty hectic. This year in general for every single person on the planet has been hectic because the normal got taken away. But yeah, I hope to get back into making videos again. I probably should start, you know, thinking of things other than Pokemon to upload. Maybe go back to recording my rival sets that I did in the past. But, Alright. Hope I do well in week 1. See you guys.